morning, you strange and wonderful weirdos. I'm John.
And I'm Stacey.
It's Friday, October 28th. And here's why. Today is strange.
Okay, so let's start with an article about a gentleman who is on trial, an Italian military officer, for investigating reports of UFOs and aliens.
He's on trial for investigating UFOs and aliens?
Yes. So in Italy, a former military officer is on trial for allegedly fraudulent and slanderous activities related to investigating reports of UFOs and aliens. So let's go back to the beginning of this story.
All right, let's. It's like we're watching a movie.
It began in 2011 when the residents of Chiesa in Valmalenco, yes, that place, began to increasingly report mysterious round objects in the sky.
Okay.
Now, over the next couple of years, these strange UFOs continue to appear regularly in the area. So as a result, the commander of the local military, this gentleman here, his name is Alessandro De Royo, he became interested in it and decided to start investigating it. Now, this was part of his job,
right?
And it was part of what he was supposed to be doing. And so he started doing reports. He described everything. He talked to all the locals, and he sent it to the leadership. And he never received anything in response except just like a validation that they received his reports. So he just kept sending in the reports.
Yes, we have it, Alejandro.
And they just said that they forwarded it on to the proper department. So fast forward to 2019, he was told by his superiors and the Department of Defense to stop sending the reports in. They didn't want him to send the reports in. Now, this has been years now. This is 2019.
This is Italy.
Yes. And he decided that it would not be fair to the locals who were giving him his stories to not send that in, to not report that. He felt like it was his duty to report it. So he just kept doing it. He just kept sending it. So as a result of that, someone complained and they started an internal investigation. And they ended up accusing him of including 2 additional hours in his timesheet for the investigation of the UFOs and claimed that was fraudulent activity because he was paid for those 2 hours. And he has been fired from his job and he is now on trial.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that suspicious?
Bit extreme. So, Alejandro, seems like you've been looking into some stuff that me and the boys, we got a little problem with. Alejandro, I thought we were family. I thought you understood how things worked here in Italy. Sorry. Everything's the mob for me in Italy.
Of course. His lawyer said that they believe the reason that he has been fired is because there was somebody there that didn't want that information to come out of his desk, so to speak. And they're trying to say that wasn't part of his job when they have a whole dossier, and clearly they accepted his reports for years.
But they did nothing with them.
Right. And to get him on a technicality of 2 hours, I think he got paid like 80 euros for that 2 hours. That's the technicality that they got him on.
Just speaking as a professional from my Bruce Wayne job, if I need to get rid of something, not that I would ever do that, there are ways.
Right.
One of those ways might be time records, and something that you would never imagine going this far. I could see them even like writing him up or something like that.
A reprimand maybe or something.
Put him on trial?
Right, because they're saying that he's spreading fraudulent information. And they're making it sound horrible.
But he's only spreading information that's coming from eyewitnesses.
Exactly. And he even claims that he himself is an eyewitness. According to some of the reports, in addition to unusual flying objects, they saw strange lights, suspicious shadows, unidentified aircraft, unusual figures, hominids, and so on. Like, there's been a little bit of everything.
That's a lot of stuff.
And he claims that they laughed at him. They treated him like he was crazy and that he went through a very difficult period. And it's been very hard on him. He said, I can assure you that I never violated his duty. He never stole anything. He just did his job. And another weird thing about this just went to trial this week. And for no reason at all, they just postponed it to January of next year.
Oh.
So,
Well, my joke may be on them by that point.
isn't that very strange?
How about it, Alejandro? How you gonna feel, buddy, if get a little disclosure before then?
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Be interesting, eh?
Well, it's really funny because I was looking at a Reddit thread recently.
Wow.
And I noticed this one thing under the UFO subreddit about UAPs harassing people and it being reported all across the country.
Right?
Like not just in one area.
Similar stories.
Yeah, very similar stories. So I've got some here. I was just going to there's first one's from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right.
And they talk about multiple spinning objects coming closer to their house every night. The brightest and closest is a white orb.
Right.
And like they said, it started in the beginning of July, but it just kept going on. And even they would leave the house and they would come back and it would still be there. It comes as low as the treetops. And they claim that it follows them around the neighborhood is absolutely not a hoax. And, taking that account just by itself would be something. But you also have people in Athens, Georgia, that have talked about noticing strange lights in the night skies above their neighborhood starting in May, which is summer, like kind of about the same area. And since then, it's picked up. It says they have footage and pictures, and they've taken with cell phones and infrared footage. And that they
got
glow.
some of the pictures there.
Yeah, they glow bright orange, and they are there all the time. Like it's not just a one sighting thing and it's gone. Like they're able to see it and get the pictures and know that it's coming back.
That's pretty odd. Especially those are kind of close though.
Mm-hmm. Columbus, Ohio.
Not as close.
No. And then, they said there's reports this is all from the National UFO reporting.
Right.
And there's from Wisconsin, Chicago. I think this one was that's just multiple different reports. And the one from Columbus now is pretty long. I won't read the whole thing, but it's the same type.
But they're all kind of similar with the
similar
the little
activity.
white objects. They're all stalking these people.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And emitting other little objects coming out of them. Mm-hmm. Very similar to when I seen the ones with you that I got the one picture of that were in a blue sky. It was all little white objects, and it almost looked like some kind of ash fall.
Right.
It was sparkling almost because it was almost like they were going. But then I seen it in other places. Mm-hmm. So no, that's very, very deep. May I?
You may.
Yeah,
Go right
that's
ahead.
very intriguing because. Especially if all the different reports and also reports from Chicago, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Now, the person who gathered all this information is user Flat Regret 4951, and of course under the UFO subreddit. But these are amazing. They really are. And this guy says all my DMs are full of similar stories from people contacting me about this very issue. And it's crazy sounding. Mm-hmm. Because of the fact that the UFOs are stalking them,
right,
and following them. And the one longer one here from Columbus, it's the actual characteristic of it is there are lights on the object emitted other objects, the object emitted beams, the object changed color, the object made a sound, entities were seen. Mm-hmm. And this is every day for over 3 years is the duration on this one. That's why it's a little bit more than the other ones as far as the duration. But, saying this is ruining my life. It's every day. But still yet, the overall activity is the same with the units and putting out the other ones. And that's odd. I mean, these people don't know each other.
No.
It's just a random, National UFO Reporting Center. Mm-hmm. So, and God knows there's probably a lot more than that. Just odd. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. If you guys had anything like that happen, if you had an experience like that, if you have,
weird.
Today is strange and you need to let us know. So contact us. Let us know about it. We'll tell your story. Pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Thanks for creeping me out on a Friday before Halloween, Stacey.
With the UFO stories.
Oh,
all right.
Man.
So let's move on. Let's talk about HAARP.
Much better.
Yeah. Isn't that MARP? Much better. I don't know what happened there. All right. So huge HAARP antenna array is starting to bounce radio signals off of Jupiter.
Oh.
So, HAARP used to be run by some pretty nefarious government agencies, DARPA, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories that surrounded it. And while there's been no evidence that was any conspiracy,
Except for the ringing in my ears.
you
for
know, the
last
things
10
where
years.
supposedly it was supposed to control the weather, trigger earthquakes, create chemtrails, broadcast mind control signals. None of those are founded. And if you don't believe me, you can go to HAARP's website, and in their frequently asked questions, they assure you that none of those are legitimate. So
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with HAARP. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with HAARP. Absolutely.
Well, HAARP was actually sold, and it is now owned by the University of Alaska in Fairbanks. And
Much less weird.
They're using it to conduct a 10-day research campaign. And this is the first one of these of its kind. It's one of the most ambitious experiments being carried out right now, and they're doing it. It's called the Jupiter Bounce. So basically, they're sending signals out into space and bouncing them off different objects. They're going to bounce them off the moon. They're going to bounce them off Jupiter. Jupiter's the furthest one away. And then receive those in a different location and test like the electromagnetic fields in space.
What's going to happen is the old man on Jupiter is going to be like,
It's because the storms are being weird on Jupiter. They gotta
kids
weather control the storms on Jupiter.
bouncing off my planet.
They're hoping to test HAARP's ability to study objects far from the Earth with the radio.
How about that storm?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
There's some crazy storms on some planets, man. There really is. I mean, some of those things are just nuts. We've had that storm noticeable for 100 years or whatever.
Right.
Just insane. So what do you think they're going to really do when they bounce the signal?
I'm not really sure what they're doing. I'm not 100% sure. They claim it's
weather manipulation on other planets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The storms, they're trying to jack that storm
That's
back
what
up
everybody
on Jupiter.
said HAARP did, right?
Yeah,
that was the whole thing.
That was the main one.
That was that was weather control, weather manipulation, seeding clouds, or just singing clouds to rain. I don't know. It's radio, but I mean, who knows? And I guess we'll see if the giant red spot becomes a giant or redditor spotter.
We'll know for sure then.
We'll know very soon.
Land breaking experiment. I don't know, first of its kind experiment. We'll just see what happens.
Land-breaking experiment.
That's not what I meant to say, but I don't know where I was going with that.
Groundbreaking
Thank
experiment?
you. That is what I was trying to say. The words. I'm sorry. It's Friday.
There's nothing wrong with HAARP. They've done nothing to our minds. Everything's been fine. 2012 didn't happen.
All right, let's move on.
Large Hadron Collider. What?
Let's move on to a story from Arkansas. And this is about an Arkansas motorcyclist who was engulfed in a fireball after state police shock him with a taser. Now, this is there's a video for this, and I will show it, but I'm just going to warn you.
Doggy.
I'm going to warn you.
You used a flare again, Johnson.
So the gentleman's name is Christopher Gaylor, and he's hospitalized. He is going to survive. He's expected to recuperate. I would not show you the video if that was not the case. He was on a motorcycle, and the motorcycle did not have a license plate. And as he was driving, the state police saw that he didn't have a license plate and tried to pull him over.
Doused him with gas.
He decided to run and take off on his motorcycle, which ensued in a chase. He got to a house, he got off of his motorcycle and started to run on foot. Now, the police didn't know that he had a backpack on full of gasoline, carrying a gallon of gasoline in a backpack as he ran. And so the officer, wanting to stop him because he was fleeing, from the police, used his taser. I mean, that's what they do, so they don't have to shoot you, right? So when he tased him, the gasoline ignited and he completely went up in a fireball. As soon as he did, the police officers were like, he's on fire, get a fire extinguisher. They put him out. He's expected to recuperate. It turns out he did have some outstanding warrants. I guess he was trying to not get caught. But this seems worse. He's
going to keep hiding after the heat died down.
Mm-hmm. That was bad. So again, it's interesting. It's crazy looking. You've never seen anything like it, but
that's insane. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that cop?
Oh man, he seemed shocked. Like he dropped his taser. Oh wow, it's crazy.
I mean, can you imagine?
I think you'd be a little, yeah.
Like you look down at the taser. It's
little
just like,
wary to use it again after that, wouldn't you?
Wow. He'll never forget that.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about a woman's weird 4 a.m. premonition that helps her find her lost cat.
I know what ours is.
We always know our cat is. So a woman named...
Where'd you do it at, Spook?
Nikki Myring Thomas. She was frantic with worry because her 3-year-old cat, Inca, was missing for 4 days. And she couldn't find her anywhere.
Oh, wow.
She
That's a long
about
time.
gave up hope of finding her. And one night when she was sleeping, she had this very strange dream. And she had a dream that Inca was trapped inside this nearby church that was abandoned. It's kind of close to her property. And she woke up and she thought that was really strange, but she just went back to sleep and she just couldn't.
Inca was an atheist. That's what made it strange.
She woke up the next day and she couldn't shake the dream. And so she's like, I'm just going to go to the church. I'm just going to go look. And she went, and it's like a really old church. It had been abandoned for a while. The walls were really thick. But as she went around back, she noticed there was a window back there that had been broken. So she just went up to the window and called for the cat, and she could hear the meowing inside, just very light. And so she kept calling, and the cat finally jumped up to where the window was, and she was able to reach in, and she found her lost kitty because she dreamed of where it had gone. Isn't that crazy?
That's very weird.
It is very weird. I'm
So
wondering.
does it say how far away the church was?
It wasn't completely far. It didn't say. It's a church that's right near her estate, I believe is how it worded it. So it's not like,
Her estate.
yeah, it's not like right next door, but it may like bump up against her property. But she said if she hadn't had that dream, she never would have thought to go and check in the church. And if she hadn't, there's no way the cat would have got out. Like, I'm not sure the cat got in. I guess the cat's just stupid and couldn't figure out how to get back out.
Is it like
I
a
don't
dumb
know.
cat?
I have no idea.
Meow. There's a whole meow.
So, very interesting.
It is interesting.
Pay attention to your dreams.
Always. Yeah. Always.
You think
pay
it's the cat psychically
Yeah.
sending signals?
I think so.
To come.
Or the ghost in the church
Right.
that really got tired of the cat staring
Cat
at him all
meowing.
day. Because you know how cats are with ghosts, right?
Right.
It's probably like a hermit ghost. He's really been enjoying himself in that abandoned church, and the cat's sitting there all day like, meow, meow. Damn it, cat. Moves over, the cat just follows him. Moves over, cat just follows. Yeah. He's probably just like, dream of your cat. I mean, wouldn't you? I would. I'd go whisper it in her ear.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's do this last story. And this is about a weird looking primate's extra long fingers that gives it an extra kind of gross talent. So researchers,
Shocker.
for the first time, have documented the behavior in a primate known as an eye. It's a lemur. It's a specific type of lemur. And this is the first time they have ever got on film this primate picking its nose. So, using a low light camera, the scientists caught the lemur they have a really long finger that they use to get food, and it was putting it quite deep in its nose and digging around, and then it would pull it out and, just like any other odd, disgusting primate, licked it. Yes, licked it. So, including this primate, this lemur, and humans, only 12 species of primate have been observed, doing the picking and the eating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Yes. They did this, they have this recreation of an MRI of a lemur's head, and the length of their finger, they could literally stick it all the way in their nose and like down to the back, almost to their throat. That's how long the finger is. So only 12 species ever caught picking their nose.
You and I studied different types of science. I watched a couple of hours worth of a documentary on the facial sculpture of Queen Nefertiti aging.
Right.
That they felt like the statue itself was aging. It's getting
Wow.
bags under its eyes.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a proper story though, so I was going to bring it to the table. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is,
I bring you nose picking
I have
lemurs.
Egyptian aging statues. You have lemurs that pick their nose and eat it.
It's the first time it's ever been caught. It's not a common thing. It's rare and strange, and that is what this show is for.
Fair. Real quick, because we'll talk way more about Halloween on our Halloween episode Monday.
Yes.
On proper Halloween. Mm-hmm. But since it is Friday and everybody's going to watch a lot of horror movies over the weekend, right? Hopefully you better. And I'm sure there's Halloween events everywhere. And I hope you guys have a lot of fun over the weekend because it's a cool October weekend. Most places have the best leaves I've seen in years, in absolute years. So off the top of your head, what's your favorite Halloween candy of all time?
Favorite Halloween candy of all time are these Lifesavers gummy rings. They're called Lifesaver rings, big rings. They're gummy. They only have them at Halloween, and then they put like a smattering of them in this humongous bag of Skittles and Starburst. So I have to buy like tons of bags, and I have Skittles and Starburst for the rest of the year.
So this is a modern day thing.
It is a modern day thing, yes.
That's pretty cool. Tootsie Rolls.
I love Tootsie Rolls. I was going to say Tootsie Rolls, like from when I was a kid.
Yeah, Tootsie Rolls are the best. I love the fact you could still dig around in your Halloween candy for months, and you would still find a Tootsie Roll.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big candy corn fan, but you can't really.
Oh my God.
I love candy corn.
Oh my God. No, look. All right. You guys are watching the video. We don't do stuff like this on this show. This is what we do on Sideshow normally, but yes or no, candy corn. Okay, I might put a poll up whether candy corn is good or it's actually.
It's delicious, and you eat it by color. You bite the little white tip off.
Disgusting.
You bite the orange part out, and then you eat the yellow part.
All right.
It all tastes the same, but
That's why today is strange.